Greetings. We have a new feature in Ultorg today. It's called Fill with AI. Ultorg is the user interface for relational databases, and it's this desktop app here. Right now, it's connected to a Postgres database from the National Gallery of Art. We are looking at this one table here called Objects. It's about 51,000 rows of art objects that are exhibited at this museum in Washington, D.C. And this Fill with AI feature was motivated by this idea that we have a lot of data available here about each piece of art. What if we could send that data to a large language model like GPT Mini here or Claude and get some intelligence back from the model? In this case, I thought, why don't we ask for an appraisal of each artwork, like the estimated dollar value of each artwork. These are priceless artworks. They may never have been auctioned before, but we might still need a dollar valuation for them for insurance purposes, for instance. So that is exactly what I've done here. I've selected these two columns. I've done Fill with AI, and then what this feature does is it lets us provide just a single line prompt here for each column that we want filled in. And I've said I want an appraisal of the artwork in US dollars for insurance purposes, and a rationale in the other column. And it will require us to have an OpenAI API key or one from Anthropic that will give us a number of models. I'm using GPT 4.1 Mini here, which is a slightly cheaper and faster model. And then we press OK, and it's going to do these appraisals for us. Now, a note about editing in Ultorg in general. So Ultorg lets you edit your data from your database. It's never going to commit that immediately to your database. It's always going to be a stage update that you can undo, etc. That's also the case here with Fill with AI. So we have now 100 staged edits to the database. The other thing is, as is often the case, this National Gallery of Art database is actually read-only. I can't write to it. So what I've done instead, and this is quite common use case, I made an Excel sheet that I've also connected to, because you can connect to Excel files as well. And I've made a single worksheet that just has the accession number, which is the ID we will join against, and a column for the appraisal and a column for the notes. And then what I did was I did the custom join feature, and I joined the objects from the big database with the small spreadsheets based on this accession number key. Then I got this, and then that way I can make my edits in the Excel sheet data source here instead. So I'm going to press apply edits. That's actually going to then write these appraisals into the Excel sheet instead. That's very useful. So there's another thing here we can do in Ultorg, and there's a magical feature in Ultorg that none of these other database apps have, which is the ability, yes, we can join in data like this, but we can also join in tables that represent one-to-many relationships in the database. So for instance, in particular, each object, each artwork in this database has another table called objects text entries, which contains an extensive provenance for each artwork. I have sorted it here to show the most recent entries first. And so each artwork has a list of bibliographies, like every time the artwork has been cited in an important text. It has every time it changed hands, every time it was donated to a different museum, things like that. Lots of bibliographic entries, but here like exhibition history. This is data that is very relevant to appraisals. So what we can do in Ultorg, we can show some of these related tables. We have other tables too, the dimensions. We have some terms like, so there's a table for each artwork with the technique, the school. There are various things that are available, more data that's available about each artwork here. that is also very useful to have available for appraisals. I'm going to select some of these that don't have an appraisal yet, and then we can rerun this appraisal again with all of this data available. So I'm going to select those two, fill with AI, and it's going to say, okay, you know, it's starting to become several megabytes of data now, just what we're looking at in this view. That's okay. The feature is going to batch that, put little chunks of the table at the time into, and send over a few artworks at the time to GPT-4 and get back an appraisal for each. And then it's going to summarize everything at the end. So I'm going to do that. And now we are going to be able to see, what I'm curious here is to see whether, actually now I can hide this other data while it's working, because it now has all the data. I'm curious now to see whether any of these new appraisals, whether they mention the provenance of the artwork, and it does, right? You see the rationale for the appraisal frequently cites its detailed provenance, bibliography, and exhibition history attest to its importance within 18th century French genre painting. $22 million going first, going second, sold. And so, you know, this was an example with artworks in a database, but you can imagine, you know, if you're a salesperson, you might not have a database of artworks. You might have a database of sales leads. And instead of a table of you know, provenance, exhibition history, you might have a table of meetings you've had, phone calls you've had with the sales lead, etc. That's very relevant if you want to, for instance, tell the fill with AI feature, you know, maybe you want to score this sales lead, you know, out of my 1,000 people in my Rolodex, you know, how many, which ones of them should I prioritize getting back in touch with right now? So you can imagine all kinds of useful integrations here, just using this fill with AI feature in combination with really any kind of relational database you have, or you can join in Excel sheets, CSV files, other databases, etc. So I can, just for fun now, I can see, you know, if we just cancel out here, it's going to save the appraisals we have so far. Let's see, we have a bunch of them. I'm going to apply edits. And we can see here just what's the most valuable artwork we have so far. We have one appraised to $60 million. Accession year 1937. A genuine work by Diego Velázquez, The Needlewoman. Is this a famous painting? Something like that? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we might have seen that before, actually. So we have a famous painting. Does it actually have a value? Dollars. Now, it's just an estimation. $60 million. What do we have? You know, what's, yeah, well, so far, I just did the sum. So far, we have appraised artworks worth $888 million estimated. We have, how many have we done so far? We have done, just filter out the null ones, only 210 artworks. So these are, yeah, this is quite an impressive collection here. And we didn't even process more than 200 artworks from this 50,000 artwork database. Now you can imagine all kinds of uses for fill with LLM. You know, you can do editing too. Like you can, if we take an existing column here, you can do fill with AI, and we can say, you know, translate to Swedish, and we can translate things, columns. You could do all kinds of edits with this. This is just generally useful, and the magic here is to have this integration between this this database user interface that knows how to deal with joins and the proper infrastructure for getting that to an LLM in a way that the LLM can understand, and then getting results back in a structured way. So that's Ultorg, the user interface for relational databases, and the new fill with LLM feature.